Hello, everyone. This is the random podcast of Awesomeness. I am Shadowwolf.
And I am Gerdat14, Highness.
We recently reviewed the game Alex Kidd.
Well, we played the game. We're reviewing it now.
Yes. I'm trying to remember exactly which one that is. That's the first one. That's
Yes,
on the
Alex
Sega
Kidd in
Mascot
Miracle
system.
World.
In Miracle World. Now, Alex Kidd, if you don't know, is
One of Sega's earliest properties.
Yes, it's like one of the things that made Sega big at the time, I believe. And it was on the Sega Master System, which I said. And this is the first in the series of the Alex Kidd games.
Yes, and I was expecting this to be, a game where we drove around and raced kart and raced against, time trials and stuff. But, oh no, this is a very by-the-numbers... Oh, God.
Yes. I have quite a few things to say about this game.
You do?
I know that's not typically the case, but this game, it was quite the game, I will say. So you start off, and you are Alex Kidd.
Yes. The little, the little platforming hero that he is.
Yes.
Do we know anything about the plot in this game?
I don't really know much about the plot. There doesn't seem to be a big one if there is. I mean, there are different characters you will meet in this universe.
Yes, and for some reason all conflicts in this universe are solved by playing rock, paper, scissors.
Yes, instead of your normal boss fight, you will solve your boss fights by playing a game of rock, paper, scissors. Isn't that how boss fights should be played?
Yes, with rock, paper, scissors, of course. Our world would be so much more peaceful, also a lot different if we solved our problems with boss fights.
Now, in the game, you go around the worlds, and you have two moves, jump and punch.
Yes, a very, very simplistic game if you ask me. And you did, because you clicked on the channel.
Now, in case you don't know how to play this game, which at first I did not, you are most likely going to die very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Kidd has 3 segments of life, and then you have to restart from the beginning again.
Yes.
This is why it's more like an arcade game, really. And it is set up like an arcade game. So, this is the thing that annoyed me most, is you have to know when to hit things, especially if you are jumping or falling. Because if you don't hit it right, it's going to hit and kill you.
Yes, Alex Kidd has the stability and stamina of a 5-year-old child. This is because Alex Kidd in canon is more than likely a 5-year-old child.
Yeah.
Why are we trusting the fate of the world to a 5-year-old child who's obsessed with rock, paper, scissors?
Now, each world has its series of enemies, each as annoying as the next. I can't say I beat this game because it is that hard. A lot of what you're going to be trying to doing is avoiding enemies in this game.
Yes, I found myself trying to avoid the enemies more than actually fight them because
Right.
Enemies don't give you points when you kill them.
Not that I noticed that the point system really does too much. I mean,
the point system is strictly here because it's scheduled up as an arcade game.
Right. I guess that would make sense. There are levels where there's like a shop where you can buy 3 things, and it will be something like there are other items in this game. Like there is a helicopter sort of thing that flies around and a race car sort of thing. as well as you can get an additional life or other things like that. And that's pretty much what the points are based on.
Actually, that's what money is used
Oh,
for.
that's what the money is. Yes, and you in the game there's blocks where you punch the blocks, and inside of the blocks, hopefully, is money.
The star blocks all have money in them,
Yes,
as far as I've
all
seen.
the star blocks. All the star blocks have money, but there are other things that can come out of blocks that are not so helpful as well.
Yes, for example, just like Kid Icarus, the Grim Reaper is here in this game. Why is he here?
But if you open one of these Grim Reaper boxes, or dare say, step over one.
Yes, if there's a flat death tile on the ground, avoid it.
Yes. He will automatically come out of the box.
And begin chasing you, and he's faster than you are.
In that case, if that does happen, try to move off the screen as much as possible from where he is. There are other items in the game, such as you pick up and collect rings, which I do not know their value just yet, but
Apparently in the shop they cost $100, and I assume that they are either a points multiplier or some sort of support item. Not that the game bothers to explain this to you. Another case of a game where we really should have had the instruction manual.
yes.
What is it with games in the 80s almost requiring an instruction manual?
Well, if you consider the fact that arcade machines did not give you much of any sort of manual, then this fits right in.
Yes, it does.
But yeah, that's pretty much the basic gameplay. Do you have anything else to add to that, Gerdat?
There is one element of gameplay that I want to bring up, and that's while Alex is swimming, because he can actually swim in this game, he's constantly floating upwards.
Yes, that's true too. And this will be very annoying as you play along, because there are fish and other various things that if you hit them as you are rising up, they will kill you as well. Oh, and the other thing is, Alex Kidd really likes rice cakes.
Yes.
Rice balls. As you will find out at the end of every level, you will pick up the rice ball in order to end the level.
Mm-hmm.
Even the bosses turn into rice balls, which you pick up to end the level.
I haven't. Here's the thing: I never actually managed to beat any of the bosses in particular. I mean, I did make it to Stonehead multiple times, but
yeah, I managed to beat the first two. That's about as far as I got. I actually did watch a Let's Play of this, though.
Oh, you went out and did more research than I did then, because I just played the game. I didn't actually do any research on it, and I really should have, because as one of Sega's starting up franchises, it should have been up to me to figure out exactly what was so impressive about Alex Kidd at the time.
Which it must have impressed somebody, because they made a few of these games.
Yes, they did. Although I don't know how many. I know that Alex Kidd eventually became known for his vehicles, but I don't know when that happened.
Let's see here. I just had it a moment ago. Alex Kidd, then it continues to The Lost Stars, along with 4 other sequels in the franchise, as well as cameos in a few other games.
Yes, like recently, he has been a playable character in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed.
As well as Sega Superstars Tennis. And in the Dreamcast games, Sega Gaga.
Hmm.
So yeah, he's made his way around. Uh, Now this game looks and feels like an 8.5 platformer. It really does, and I think they did a really good job of that.
Ah, damn it. And they did, actually. It really does, look like an 8-bit platformer with quite a bit more graphical details to it. And I do enjoy actually looking at the game, despite it, ow, 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 all over the place.
Yes.
We really don't have that much to say, do we?
It's funny because I said most of everything in this one, and you're usually the one that talks most.
Yes, but at the moment I'm slightly distracted by doing multiple things. So,
Oh,
I will say this though: this is not technically a bad game. And I did enjoy it, and I did enjoy playing it, kind of. This wasn't like Bomberman's level of frustrating to me at any point.
Even though it was very frustrating.
Oh yes, getting the most frustrating part about this is the fact that it treats itself so much like an arcade title. Because
I got to the water in this game the first time, and I was wicked upset. Because in the first level, there is a frog that spits water or whatever at you, and if you touch that water, you die.
yes, he spits
And at the same time,
air bubbles.
At the same time, you have to kill him in order to get past him.
No, actually, you don't. I have been able to get past him without killing him.
Well, then
I finally figured out how the hell to kill him, mind you, so I no longer have to do that, but
I commend you for being able to do that, because I was not able to do that.
it did require a lot more timing than I give it credit for, so...
Yes.
That's really the whole thing, though, that this game starts off as, reasonably difficult. Much like Bomberman, and instead of actually, scaling up, it stays that way, but it feels like it keeps scaling up. Even though it doesn't, actually. It has the same difficulty throughout most of the game as far as I played. But the fact is that it has reasonable difficulty is actually a hindrance simply throughout, mainly because that reasonable difficulty is actually pretty high up there, and since the game does not in fact get easier, only stays the same, you end up dying a lot. You end up dying all the damn time, and you don't have that many damn lives. Specifically, you have a total of 3 lives to start off with, and the kicker is no continues.
Yes. So if you do die, you have to go back to the beginning and do it all over again.
Uh-huh.
I mean...
Oh, and another thing
bad
that's
game.
really noticeable, Alex is super slippery on his controls.
Oh, yes, he is. I mean... He has a very nice high jump.
Yes.
I will give him that. But otherwise, he is very slippery with his controls. Now, each of the bosses in this game, and they will actually reappear in the game like about 2 to 3 times, have very funny names.
Yes, like Stonehead.
There is also like Scissorhead and Paperhead, or something along those lines. Letting you know that this game is really all about the rock, paper, scissors.
Yes, at least when it comes to the boss encounters.
Yes.
But yeah, it is in fact a pretty simple game, despite it being, so ball-bustingly difficult from time to time. And because it's set up as an arcade platformer, which can be incredibly fun to play. Matter of fact, I would dare say that Mario would have been pretty cool as an arcade platformer.
Which it actually sort of started out as, but
really, I never saw that. Well, I knew that Donkey Kong was an arcade puzzle platformer, but action platformer.
Well, before Super Mario Brothers was Mario Brothers,
and that was actually more of a two-player competitive game more than a platformer.
Right, which it was still a Mario game though. Regardless.
Shall we talk about one of the other blocks before we go into give our negative critiques?
Sure.
All right, there is another type of block that is the Black Skull block. This, if you break the Black Skull block, even though the Yellow Skull block has got the Reaper in it and is trying to kill you, the Black Skull block only stuns you. It's very confusing.
It is very confusing.
And in yet another case of us, pretty much needing the instruction manual to know what the hell is going on and how to play. This game is not for the faint of heart, simply because it will frustrate the hell out of you from time to time. And it's not even in that good kind of frustrating where you want to keep playing it to prove that you can beat it. It starts off really frustrating and it doesn't calm down.
Yes, you're going to play this and you're going to get very frustrated. And if you can't deal with that, you're going to not want to play this game.
Yes. Even Bomberman, despite it, costing me, a half a keyboard and a mouse, was still entertainingly frustrating. At least, for the first and second and parts of the second world. This, however, this is frustrating and just doesn't really have any good payoff in it. I will say that I do enjoy the music from time to time, but
the music is fairly good.
Yeah, but after a while I said, you know what, I really don't care enough about the tunes to have them on, so I just either muted it or supplied my own tracks, usually both. Because what's the point of muting the tunes if you're not going to supply your own tracks,
No!
So, yeah, that's about the gist of the game.
Really, our only negative critique is that it starts off a bit too difficult for us, and it stays that way. This game would be much better if it had the scaling difficulty that it really should have had.
Yeah, that's really my only gripe about the game. Otherwise, there is a good game in here. You just have to dig into it.
So, do we want to give final thoughts and scores then? Because it being an 8.5-bit game, there's not really much to discuss when it comes to this thing.
Right. Well, I will say, despite its difficulty, I did like this game. I liked the controls somewhat. I mean, they were, for the most part, very fluid. And
when they weren't, too damn slippery.
Right. The scenery in this game was pretty good, and the sprites I actually did like.
Yeah, the sprites, despite not being overly detailed, have enough detail in them so you're like, oh, this is clearly what this is. And, and it's quite clear that quite a number of these things are actually pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a good game, and I am glad I decided to play this. I actually saw this in a video of forgotten... What's the word I'm looking for? Video game mascots. And I thought
but here's the thing, Sega has not forgotten about Alex Kidd. They don't use him for anything other than cameos, but they haven't really forgotten about him.
Right.
I really think that Alex Kidd, with a bit tighter controls, could do well in the current platforming genre. I mean, it's a pretty simple game. It's a pretty simple concept. Five-year-old with poor stamina goes out to save the world using rock paper scissors. And with a little bit of a story element, much like Mario fails to do every year, we could definitely see Alex Kidd come in because the environments are nice. The character, what little there is actually okay. And the challenge in this is enough to where I would say that I say that I enjoy this game. It's just not something that I want to go back to. It's not something I'm ever really going to try and go back to.
Right. I don't think it has much replayability.
It's not that it doesn't have replayability, but it pisses me off. It pisses me off a bit too much and is just a tad too frustrating.
Right. That's what I think is it that effect. But yeah, I did enjoy this game, and if you're up to a challenging game, I would recommend you try this game out.
As would I. So, Shadow, what is your score going to be for it then?
So I'm going to give this game, I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
I can see where you're going with that, but personally, I think it's just a little too. I think it's just a little too challenging. But then again, I am the guy that thinks that Kirby's Amazing Mirror is the hardest Kirby game on the planet. So even though Return to Dreamland actually looks like it has a lot more difficult sections, but I haven't played Return to Dreamland. And really, it's the difficulty and the bit of slipperiness of how Alex moves that makes this game, a bit too frustrating for me. As such, since there's definitely a good game in here, I feel the need to give this game a 6 out of 10. I do enjoy the game. I'm not gonna come back to this though. It's way too difficult, and it's not interesting enough for me to come back to.
Right.
It doesn't hold my interest at all. And even though it is in fact a decent challenge, it's just a bit. There's just a bit too much. The slippery controls, the really short range of your fist. I really don't want to come back to this. But I think that covers it for today, don't you think, Mr. Shadow?
Yeah, that's about it. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we'll have another game soon for our next video.
Yes. Matter of fact, I might just post up the Lost podcast because, believe it or not, we might be a very young podcast at the moment, but even we happen to have a Lost one already.
Yes, we happen to have a Lost episode that you guys don't know about.
Okay, so next time that we meet up, it's my turn to pick the game. I think I know what I'm gonna pick because I really don't want to do an LP project of it, but I need to get off how I feel about this game. Except everyone that I know already knows how I feel about this game. Ugh, I don't know.
All right, well, thanks for listening, guys. Until next time.
Holy shit, a story segment. Okay, be safe, everybody.